Hello! Discovery Japan has sent me a set of Holbein Artists Colored Pencils. It's a 36 set, and I am really excited to try these out. I have one small set of Holbein pencils, this 12 set which I got a few years ago, and you can see they are quite well worn, at least in this section here, and I've been kind of eking these out because they're really expensive. They were extremely difficult to find in Australia up until maybe 2 years ago, when my local art store has started actually stocking them, but they are so astronomically expensive I have not ended up buying any more. So when Discovery Japan said that they would send me this box, I jumped at the chance, so I'm going to peel the plastic off. Let's get into it! That's much better. Although that writing is still very shiny, I like that. So the tin is inside a cardboard sheath, and I think the tin itself is quite plain. Oh boy, that's really messing with the lighting on the camera. Oh, that's better, my poor eyes. So just to be upfront, Discovery Japan did send this box of pencils to me for free, though I am not being sponsored, and so all of the opinions in the review are my own, but I like to be transparent to let you know that there is some possible bias because this is a free product to me. I know, right? Holbein, I can't get over that. But I'll just give you a quick rundown on Discovery Japan and then we'll get into this set. Discovery Japan is an online marketplace located in Japan that specializes in selling Japanese products to customers worldwide. We offer a wide range of products including electronics, watches, beauty and skincare, toys, snacks and more, including art supplies, and all of them are sourced from Japan. Our e-commerce website provides international buyers with access to authentic Japanese products that are often difficult to find outside of Japan. We also support multiple languages and international shipping options to cater for customers in different countries. So I guess it's kind of like AliExpress or Amazon, something like that, where you can buy products from different companies in the one location. Now, of course, I got the ship for free, so I don't know exactly how much it would cost to send to Australia, but the price of the actual pencils is definitely cheaper. It was in yen though, and I calculated it into Australian dollars, and I did notice it was cheaper compared to the prices that I saw in Australia. So that's always a good thing. Don't know about the shipping though. Anyway, let's get into these actual pencils. I can't wait to open the tin. Here we go. On the back of the cardboard is a little preview of all the colours that are in the tin. Then we've got a little booklet with all of the colours and some examples of artworks. Wow, they actually have a really big set, and I know that it does come in a 150 set. That is something I would like to have one day, but it costs over 600 Australian dollars here, I think, for the cheapest one that I've seen. So yeah, that's a little bit more than I can justify, but I'm extremely grateful to be receiving a 36 set, which is quite a lot larger than my 12 set. All of the different sets. Looks like they even have a wooden box. Oh, that would be gorgeous. And I have actually started seeing this Melts product in my local store as well, which is like a pencil blend specifically for Holbein pencils. Maybe I should have picked some up. I don't think I'm going to go down there now because I am on low buy and I just have to curb my spending on things like that. But let's check out the pencils. There's a little bit of glassine, and they look very beautiful indeed. What I love about the Holbein pencils is that they're just so chunky. It's like a really thick, round barrel. I like that the colour is over the whole thing like the polychromos, and it's just a really appealing design of pencil, the shiny gold writing. And does it have the name of the colour? Yes, it does. Cerulean blue. It also has stars, which I'm assuming are light fastness stars. Number 3, permanent colours, so the most light fastness, and then 2 is moderately durable, and 1 star is fugitive. I wonder if there are any in here that are 1 star. I'm just going to have a quick look. I've had a rummage through and they're all 2 and 3 stars except for this one, which is Cosmos, and that is a 1 star on there. It's such a pretty colour too. I'm probably still going to use it. I don't really care about the light fastness too much because I tend to keep my original drawings in folded books and they don't really see the light much anyway. If you're going to hang it on the wall, then maybe it's going to become an issue, but usually only if there's really direct or bright sunlight or spotlights on them. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be too much of an issue. I haven't had issues with coloured pencils for the most part, but just bear in mind that at least one pencil in here is 1 star. I imagine that in the larger sets there are going to be more 1-star pencils. I have some nice drawing paper by Lana, and I've rolled out a swatch card on here. I've put the names and the stars. I'm going to colour them all out and we'll see what they look like. I'm so excited, I can't wait to try them all. I of course forgot that the Lana paper has quite a toothy texture to it, so it's very obvious in my swatches here. And I'm using that glassine sheet that came out of the tin to rest my hand on so my oils aren't going all over the paper. Not that it really matters with these coloured pencils because they are a mix of wax, fat and oil, apparently. Quite different to other coloured pencils, and I did notice there is a difference in the way they handle. There's like a subtly different texture to them. But for the most part they did feel very waxy in comparison to oil or fat, so I would say that wax is the biggest component of the Holbein pencils. I found they actually took just a little bit of getting used to, and here I haven't actually sharpened the pencils more than what they were in the box, and it felt like a bit of a struggle to get a lot of pigment down on the paper when I was first using them. I think it's actually the paper that's doing it. It's a little bit on the firmer side and very toothy, as you can see, which these pencils just weren't that great on to begin with. It's also because they are somewhat blunt and I really needed to sharpen them. But once I got going in my actual artworks, which you'll see a bit later, these pencils really got good. I put the wrong colour down here. I used that aqua again, so I'm going over it with the cerulean blue. I could not take it off with the eraser either. Once these pencils go down, they ain't coming off. But speaking of the colour range in this 36 set, I'm pretty impressed with it. There was a nice range of pretty much all of the colours, although I really wish there was more purple because there's only the one violet, and a nice light purple would have been great as well, but it's only a small set, so I mean it's going to be missing some colours. Those two pinks, that Cosmos and Magenta, are really pretty too, as is the aqua and the ice green next to it. And at the end here are a few earthy brown colours and a couple of greys, along with a black and a white, and of course the white pencil really did not show up on the swatch sheet, but I'll use it later in my artworks. Here are all the colours swatched out, and I can already see that this set is far more useful than the 12 colour set, because that just does not have enough options in each colour range, whereas this has got a really good one, and I think I could do a lot more with this set of 36 colours, which is great. I did notice on this paper at least that they feel quite waxy going down. This could be because I haven't actually sharpened them properly, and I will be doing that when I get into the artwork. So I'm going to try on completely different paper now. I've got my most expensive Lightfast paper. This stuff is absolutely beautiful. It is a slightly warmer colour, more in the cream range, but I'm going to do my artwork on here today. I've already picked out my art. It is coming into spring here in Australia, and I was thinking of cherry blossoms because they are starting to bloom, and I was looking online, and a lot of the pictures now when I'm seeing them are actually AI images, and I really hate them. They just look so fake, and so I had to rummage through my own photograph collection. This comes from 2016 when we had a really good spring and the weather was lovely. I managed to capture this photo of a kookaburra sitting on a branch underneath a weeping cherry tree that was in full bloom. These pinks here will do really well for the cherry blossoms. I've got enough browns and blacks I think that I can work in with the kookaburra. I might also do something else. I don't know how long this one's going to take. I don't know that I'm going to go in quite as much detail as what this picture is, because that is just going to take forever. I'm so excited. I haven't done a colour pencil drawing in ages, and I'm kind of going, I don't remember anything. Oh yes, and here's the pencil sharpener I will be using. I actually picked this up recently because I've had a whole bunch of issues with some of my sharpeners in that a lot of the blades have gone blunt, and For many sharpeners, you can't actually get replacement blades. It's really frustrating. You have to actually buy the whole thing again. So I thought I'd try one of these ones where you pull it out, you put the pencil in, and then you grind it so you're not having to go through blades. I think it's one of those grinding mechanisms. This one in particular has rubber feet inside that grip the pencil, because I had another one that was metal and they actually cut into the pencil barrel and it just broke my heart. But this one doesn't leave a mark at all, and it's a really good one. I've only used it a bit so far, but I'm going to use it today and I'll let you know how it goes. It's a dull 11.5mm pencil sharpener, and I found that about 5 turns was perfect for getting a lovely point on these pencils. Let's get into the drawing. I did a quick little trace using my light pad because I wanted to spend the time doing the actual rendering of this picture. I knew it was going to take ages, so here we go. I had spent some time sharpening all of the pencils and they worked so much better. And this Lightfast paper is absolutely glorious with any coloured pencil that I've ever worked with. It has such a soft velvety texture and it's really beautiful to work on. I didn't use any solvents with these pencils because the paper is just that good. It costs an absolute fortune, but it's totally worth it. And the Holbein pencils worked really well on it, which I'm very happy about. So I started off with the kookaburra, getting in the detail of the bird first, and I slowly worked up the layers, using different browns and the reddish browns along with greys for most of its plumage. You'll see me using a unicorn makeup brush every so often to wipe off the paper, because I did notice with these pencils that they do put out quite a lot of crumbs. And I had to foof them off with the brush rather than using my hand, which will often smudge that across the page. I've done that before, it's really annoying. Soft fluffy makeup brushes are perfect for taking off that pencil dust without disturbing the image. I think from my experiences with different coloured pencils that the Holbeins do seem to crumble a little more than a few other pencil brands. It's not that big of a deal though, otherwise they sharpen absolutely perfectly, they don't break, and they're really strong cores because they are quite thick. Oh, this branch, it was such a nightmare because I realised that it's actually covered in lichen, and I was trying to add in some of the colours and detail of the lichen. It turned into such a mess, especially about this point when I'm adding in that darker brown, and I'm going, what am I up to here? I think my mistake was I was trying to add too much detail, and I should have left the branch a lot more kind of blurry rather than trying to add in all of this lichen detail, and then it wouldn't take away so much from the kookaburra. But it is what it is, and I just kept building up until I was relatively happy. I actually ended up coming back to it later once I'd done the background, so I'm moving on to the background now. It is a rather blurry background in the photo, and I tried to replicate that in this drawing. It turns out I'm not very good at that either, but I persevered and I did my best with this. I have to say that the Cosmos Pink and Magenta were perfect colours. They were almost exactly the same as what I could see in my photo. So yes, the background is covered in the least Lightfast pencil, but I didn't really mind. I was just happy using it. It's such a pretty colour, and it worked out really well in this drawing. I'm also adding in greens for the background as well. I think this took me about 5 hours to complete in total, and I've managed to crunch it down into about 5 minutes. But coloured pencil drawings just take absolutely ages, and if I was doing this for a commission piece or something, I'd probably take 2 or 3 times as long to finish the whole thing and spend more time trying to get those exact details. But I think it turned out pretty well, and once I started adding in some darker values to that background, it really made the kookaburra stand out a lot better. The Holbein pencils themselves held up well. I had to sharpen them regularly, but they held their point for quite a long time, and as I said before, I really didn't get any breakage from them, which was fantastic. I was burnishing quite hard near the end as well, and they held up to that. The white pencil was pretty good. I used it mainly to blend over the top of other colours and maintain some of the highlights. It's maybe not the most opaque white out there, but it's pretty decent. It's more opaque than the Polychromos white, for sure. That little bit of glassine paper came in really handy, and I'm glad that was in the box. I'll keep that for future projects as well. I don't know that Holbeins are going to be my absolute favourite coloured pencil to use. I still really love Polychromos, Lightfasts and Luminances, But I feel like these pencils are up there with those ones, although I would really want to have the 150 set to make my final judgment, because I always like to have the largest set of colours available. And I know that Holbein have a particularly good range of pastel coloured pencils. I'd love to get those one day. That 150 set is definitely on my wish list. But they are, of course, insanely expensive, so if I was to consider getting a smaller set, then this one's actually pretty decent. I think it's got a really great colour range, and you can actually do quite a lot with it. I think the only thing, as I said, I was missing was maybe a lighter purple, but I really can't complain that much. I think all of the colours were at least represented in there. I think if I was to nitpick anything, it's the brown pencils. They didn't feel quite as saturated as I would have liked, and I found it quite challenging to get really dark values out of them. I had to use the black over the brown sometimes in order to get the darker values. But browns tend to be really tricky in a lot of sets of pencils and paints that I've tried, so it's not the end of the world. It's just something that I noticed that the Holbein browns, at least in this set, were maybe not as dark as I would have liked. I've gone back to this branch trying to rescue it a bit. I kind of gave up on that after a while. It's as good as I can get it, I think, today. But I wanted to just add a bit of white onto the background, and I'm using an oil-based paint pen for that. White paint pens are Becky's little helpers. I think it did help the background just a little bit, and it really did help the log just by adding in some texture to make it look more like lichen. And here is the finished picture. It's okay. I do like the bright colours in the background. But I had some extra time, so I thought I'd try a colouring page, and I'm using this Gothic Beauty special. This page really stood out to me, and I had an idea of what I was going to do for it. And I really wanted to try and use as many colours of pencil as I could, because the first picture was a fairly limited colour palette. And I'm going for a rainbow look here, starting off with the purple. This is where I was wishing I had a light purple, but I just used blue and pinks instead. Going over a lot of it with the white to get some of those blended highlights. I have to say that these pencils were fantastic in this colouring book. It's on very smooth white paper, and the Holbeins held up really well to this. In fact, I'd say they worked the best on the smooth paper, so that's definitely something to consider when you're using these pencils. Surface is almost always the most important thing, and it really does affect the way that coloured pencils will behave. The blue colours in this set are absolutely gorgeous, and an absolute pleasure to use. They're really smooth, and I found that they blended really well together. I've seen a couple of reviews which have said that they don't blend well, but from my personal experiences from using them in both of these artworks, I thought that they did a pretty decent job, and they blended just as well as other pencils I've tried, so no particular issues there. Others may disagree with me, that's totally fine. I can only just tell you what I've experienced. If you're into colouring, the Holbein pencils really are fabulous for that. I had so much fun colouring in this particular page, and I think it turned out really awesome by the end. I'd say this one took me about 4 hours to do, so I was here for quite a while, almost as much as the Kookaburra, but it was totally worth it. Oh, and as for layering, I was able to get maybe 4 or 5 layers even on the smooth paper, so that's pretty impressive too. I think I'll let the colours speak for themselves here. Well, here are the two pieces that I got done for this video, and here is the tin of pencils once I've finished doing all of my activities with them for today. Not quite as perfect as they once were. You can see I've used a lot of that white and the red and that green. I didn't use these ones very much, or the greys, but all of them I did use to some extent, and I really enjoyed this set overall. I mean, ideally I would go larger again just to have more shades of colours, but this one I could do quite a lot with and I'm quite happy with it. It's definitely better than the 12 set, and I have to give a little shout out to this pencil sharpener. It is excellent. I had no breakages whatsoever with any of these pencils. This thing has paid for itself. It has saved my hand so much effort when it comes to sharpening, because the handheld ones just kill my wrist, and I have no complaints with that, so I'll definitely be linking that in the description below. And of course I'll link these pencils as well on Discovery Japan's website so you can check them out. It is an affiliate link. It just means that if you do happen to click on the link and purchase something, I get a tiny little commission, and it's no extra cost to you. It really helps up my channel, and thank you so much if you do that. Thank you very much to Discovery Japan for sending me these wonderful Holbein pencils. I'm so happy to have some more in my collection, so let me know in the comments if you have any Holbein pencils and what do you think of them, or is it a set that you would consider buying at some point? I know they are pretty pricey, but they do seem to be very nicey. Thank you for watching my video today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope my review of the Holbein pencils was helpful. I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and you might want to click that subscribe button for more videos in the future. And here's a couple more that you might want to check out, and one of these videos is a colouring page I did with the 12 set of Holbein pencils. Oh, that's a really old video, that one. I hope you're all having a great day out there. I will see you really soon again in my next video, and I'll swatch you later. Bye!